Broadcom 2V0-18.25 exam practice questions with explanations are available in the video for you to study. During the deployment of a VMware vSphere Foundation 9.0 environment, the process stops while preparing the SC hosts. To determine why the bring-up failed, which log file on the deployment appliance should be examined first? A/var/log/vmkernel.log B/var/log/vpexa.log C/var/log/cloudbuilder.log D/var/log/sxupdate.log. The answer is C. The Cloud Builder appliance orchestrates the entire initial deployment workflow of VMware vSphere Foundation. All automation tasks, API calls, validation checks, and host imaging steps are logged in the cloudbuilder.log file. When failures occur during host bring-up, this log provides the most comprehensive and centralized troubleshooting information. Logs such as vmkernel.log or vpexa.log are host-specific and do not contain orchestration context. Therefore, cloudbuilder.log is the primary source for diagnosing deployment stage failures. An organization attempts to import an existing vSphere environment into a VVF 9.0 deployment. The validation process reports that the current configuration is unsupported. What is a typical reason for this failure? A. The vCenter server participates in enhanced linked mode. B. VMware ARIA automation is not installed. C. SC hosts lack local SSDs. D. The environment is using a standard vSphere license. The answer is A. VMware Cloud Foundation and vSphere Foundation manage SSO domains and lifecycle configurations centrally. If the existing vCenter server is part of enhanced linked mode, the architecture may conflict with VVF's management domain design. Elm introduces multiple SSO domains and replication dependencies that are not always compatible with automated conversion workflows. Validation checks detect this configuration and prevent import to maintain consistency. Proper planning and potential removal from Elm are required before conversion. You are adding a new SC host to an existing VVF workload cluster, but the scaling task fails validation. Which condition would prevent successful host addition? A. The host uses a different CPU vendor than the cluster. B. The host has vSphere HA enabled. C. The host is configured with a static IP. D. The host uses VMFS data stores. The answer is A. vSphere clusters cannot mix CPU vendors such as Intel and AMD processors. Enhanced vMotion compatibility, EVC, only works within the same CPU manufacturer family. Mixing CPU vendors would prevent live migrations and compromise cluster consistency. VVF strictly validates hardware compatibility before allowing cluster expansion. Therefore, SDDC Manager blocks host addition if CPU vendors differ. A VVF solution license will expire in 3 days. What happens to currently powered on virtual machines once the license expires? A. They are automatically powered off. B. They remain operational, but new VMs cannot be powered on. C. They become suspended. D. They migrate to licensed hosts. The answer is B. When a vSphere or VVF license expires, existing powered-on workloads continue running without interruption. The system does not forcibly shut down active virtual machines. However, administrative operations such as powering on new VMs or modifying certain configurations are restricted. License enforcement focuses on preventing further resource consumption rather than disrupting production services. Applying a valid license restores full functionality. An SC host frequently disconnects from vCenter server. Which SC service is responsible for communication between the host and vCenter? A. Hosted. B. VPXA. C. FDM. D. VM tools. D. The answer is B. The VPXA agent, vCenter server agent, runs on each SC host and acts as the communication bridge between the host and vCenter server. It relays management instructions from vCenter and sends host status updates back to vCenter. If connectivity issues occur, VPXA logs should be reviewed. The hosted service manages local host operations but does not directly maintain vCenter communication. Therefore, VPXA is the key component for diagnosing disconnection problems. In a vSAN cluster, several objects show the status, reduced availability with no rebuild, delay timer. What does this indicate? A. The data store is full. B. vSAN is waiting for the repair timer before rebuilding components. C. The cache tier has failed. D. HA has disabled the cluster. The answer is B. When a host or component failure occurs, vSAN does not immediately begin rebuilding data. Instead, it waits for the object repair delay timer, 60 minutes by default, to expire. This prevents unnecessary rebuild operations if the failure is temporary, such as a host reboot. During this period, objects may operate with reduced redundancy but remain accessible. If the failure persists beyond the timer, vSAN initiates rebuild operations to restore policy compliance. During troubleshooting, you observe high CPU ready %RDY values for a virtual machine. What is the most appropriate corrective action? A. Increase memory allocation. B. Reduce the number of vCPUs assigned to the VM. C. Upgrade storage to SSD. D. Enable fault tolerance. The answer is B. High CPU ready time indicates that a VM is waiting for physical CPU scheduling. This often happens when a VM is oversized with too many vCPUs relative to workload requirements. The hypervisor must schedule all vCPUs simultaneously, increasing scheduling contention. Reducing vCPU count can significantly lower CPU-ready values. Right-sizing virtual machines is a best practice for performance optimization. You need to monitor traffic between two virtual machines on the same host using a vSphere distributed switch. Which feature enables packet duplication for analysis? A. NetFlow. B. Port mirroring. C. LACP. D. Network I/O control. The answer is B. Port mirroring allows copying network traffic from one distributed port to another destination port for monitoring. This is useful for troubleshooting intra-host traffic without external hardware taps. NetFlow provides flow statistics but does not mirror packets. LACP manages link aggregation, and NIOC controls bandwidth allocation. Therefore, port mirroring is the appropriate feature for packet-level inspection. A vSAN cluster uses an FTT=1 storage policy. One host permanently fails. What happens to affected objects? A. Data is permanently lost. B. Objects remain accessible and are rebuilt after the delay timer. C. The data store becomes unavailable. D. Policy changes automatically to FTT=0. The answer is B. With FTT=1 mirroring, each object has two data copies on separate hosts plus a witness component. If one host fails, the remaining replica ensures continued data availability. vSAN waits for the repair delay timer before rebuilding the missing component elsewhere. This avoids unnecessary rebuilds in case the host returns quickly. After the timer expires, vSAN restores full redundancy automatically. While creating a custom alert in VCF operations, you want to trigger an alert when data store latency exceeds 20 milliseconds. Which two components must be configured? A. Symptom definition. B. Alert definition. C. Compliance policy. D. Super metric. The answer is AB. In VCF operations, alerting is built on a two-layer structure. First, a symptom definition must be created to evaluate a metric threshold, such as latency exceeding 20 milliseconds. Then, this symptom is associated with an alert definition that determines severity and notification behavior. Without both components, no alert will trigger. Compliance policies and supermetrics serve different purposes and are not required for simple threshold-based alerts.